and their mass. Greater mass means collisions are more impactful and more damage on the charge. More pushing and more speed gives flanking a more prominent role for the lighter stuff as well. This all ties into stamina, which is represented by a blue bar near morale and HP. Light units typically have more stamina than heavy troops, so they can run further and faster and have a chance to make a bigger impact on the battlefield in the mid to late stages of the fight once heavy troops start getting tired and their stats begin dropping off. Speed differences between units become really prominent in the new terrain types such as Mud, as lighter troops can move easily through the muck, while troops get bogged down and become more vulnerable to flanking and go tired much more quickly. And then there's Tall Grass, which gives range units the snipe trait, letting them fire and move unseen from those kinds of terrain. And on top of that, bonuses based on weapon type come into play as well, where some have bonuses for sword, spear, or axe. Others are expert flankers who have the ability to flank themselves, and so on and so forth. And as I mentioned earlier, a small handful of elite switch weapons ability and even transition between more defensive approach and more offensive approach on the fly. So you might be seeing the return of Periwinkle, Parthian Cataphracts from World 1, being able to get out their armor-piercing maces and smack some dudes in the face. One of the more interesting mechanics I've seen so far is that some elite units are completely immune to flank attempts in close quarters. So even with a full surround air charge, you won't receive any extra bonus time. Your melee defense won't drop to 0 when you hit them. Unbreakable bodyguard is extremely difficult to drag down in melee. And often, your best choice will just be to utilize the skirmish game and get archers and javelins to shoot them in the back and shielded side, because you won't be able to kill them while in melee at all. Lead swords, like Hector's Chosen, typically have an extra flank attack, so you're designed to round up for a flanking role, and that is the role they are best in. Now, one of the elements of this game that actually does have me excited are the maps themselves. It's already clear that Sophia Devwing and Bulgaria are putting a much heavier emphasis. Months ago, it had to be an integral part of their design philosophy here to make battles more interesting. Unit diversity is going to be important, which means the maps themselves need to be diverse back and not auto-resolving their way through entire campaigns. And they've actually taken quite a few notes from Total War Arena on that front, which is a really good thing for Troy, because the battle maps there are without a doubt the biggest highlight in something the game specifically got right with that title. And I imagine a lot of you guys are wondering about the heroes themselves and what kind of impact they'll have. And I can say, at least for this current build, they are weaker in melee than Three Kingdoms or Warhammer heroes for sure. Their killing power isn't mind-blowing in any capacity, but their abilities can get pretty crazy. So for example, there's a new mechanic tied to heroes called Rage, which builds as Hector or crap out of stuff in CQB. You see that rage building in the character portraits at the top of the screen, and this resource is what dictates the use of your abilities. Hector has speed buffs, combat steroids, morale boost for his men, and Invocation of Nehek, AoE heal. That was one of the best tools for keeping your single entity characters alive, topped off, and safe, which frankly felt really out of place for this kind of setting. Our AoE heal directly contradicts the whole truth behind the myth approach. There is no truth in being armored infantry in the midst of combat, no matter how great a leader of men you are. Super useful in this battle for sure, but doesn't belong in any way, shape, or form in a Total War Troy game. And as a cherry on top, if you let your rage meter fill all the way up, you unlock a character-specific Aristeia, an extended version of all your best abilities that is extremely powerful once you unleash it. For Hector, it freezes vigor, makes him unbreakable, and turns him into a god of battle as you expect. So there's an interesting counterbalance there between consistently to get smaller buffs throughout, or wait for the big payoff once you beat the start. Some of the abilities cost rage per second, so you can keep the steroid active as long as you have rage to spend. But from the build I was on, it seemed like waiting for Aristeia to fully charge just wasn't worth it. It's a good ability, but nowhere near the efficiency of the build. You really wanted to outgrind the battle line. Minotaur was an absolute monster though. He had a -30 morale debuff called Savage Roar, and a huge two-handed axe that sliced its way pretty efficiently through heavy armor. And apparently, the Minotaur and the Cyclops and all those kind of characters will be completely unique, meaning there can only be one of each on the campaign map at any given time. Same thing with the Centaur. do each of those types once. Playing a and swarming the battlefield in large numbers. I will say, Centaurs just being normal cav is about the lamest thing I've ever seen. I knew it was coming, I think most of us did, and I'm not sure of a way to tackle that with capacity, but I'm definitely fearful of the unit diversity on display here. It just comes down to just a function of the setting. Not a lot to talk about it, but it's certainly an inherent weakness of the game, and I can already feel it after only a few battles. The combat system does not have many sync kills. These are generally reserved for the heroes when they're dueling, so it will be more like Warhammer in that capacity, where units attack the space near a unit rather than the model itself. I know this has been a point of fighting for like a decade now. There's good and bad to both systems, I think. Welcome to a choking tool, where were super common. You got the weird shuffling around that contributed to blobbing and the breakdown of formations. It was obviously not ideal. There's a lot of visual flair there. It's nice to see the weapon actually target a person and go through them when they strike a killing blow. The benefit to the Warhammer system, on the other hand, of attacking an area as opposed to actually stabbing or slashing the target itself, is that unit cohesion is much better and you don't get that ridiculous shuffling around and weird spacing as they set up for a sync kill. But you miss out on the cinematic flair and hype moments that come from that elaborate choreography. Those do exist in this game, but not for the rank and file, only in duels between legendary characters, which seems a fair compromise, but will never make everyone happy. Duels aren't quite what they were in the like Achilles has one that can lock an opponent down and force them to fight mano-a-mano, but generally speaking, duels happen more naturally now and without activating any specific command. Duels run into each other, nearby troops clear space for them to fight, or leave it out right then and there, which I can appreciate. It makes it feel a bit more fluid overall. Now, battle pacing was really interesting. On easy, it was hyper fast, which makes sense. It's about what I expected. It's a press build, and that part was definitely designed to be for everyone. Units breaking about as quickly as you'd see in Shogun 2 or Warhammer. But on a hard difficulty, it was a legit grind. Melee itself took about 10 to 15 minutes. There were a few other content creators who felt that was too fast. From that point of view more. It felt like an Emperor's One 2 fight than anything you've seen in the last few years. If you get much past that, it becomes way too grindy. I felt like this hit a happy medium that too long, but gave you more than enough time to position your troops to get into a flanking opportunity and to outflank your opponent in general. I mean, yeah, it's not uncommon for entire battles, in Warhammer for example, to last 10 minutes or in any other modern war game, but it is very rare for a melee grind itself to last anywhere near that long. So it was interesting to see that and how long the battles actually took. And what I found was, if you flanked with your archers and javelins and got good shots into the back of heavily armored infantry, they would drop very quickly for sure. But you have pretty limited ammunition, and once you were out, you would keep on fighting like nothing really happened, which makes sense because a lot of Achilles' best troops were unbreakable, but they just would not die in melee, which felt super different from what I've become accustomed to with Attila, Warhammer, and Three Kingdoms, Shogun 2 especially. Also, it was pretty difficult on the fly to understand which units were heavy, which units were light, which were medium, and which units were which at the best time to utilize their bonuses. There was no easy way to look at a glance and say, hey, this sword unit is best used here. The cards themselves did a good job of making it clear what role they played. Obviously, I could see that a heavy unit was a heavy unit by looking at their armor, looking at their shields, looking at all that equipment, but with all these new bonuses, I didn't feel like the UI and information on display was really conveying that information readily, making it readily available to the player at a moment's notice. I think that made things harder than they should have been overall. The essentials are there for the most part. I don't think it's like particularly clunky, but it's not super readable at the moment. Come with more time, of course, it always does. You don't want players to feel lost when they first play a battle, and if a 2-decade veteran of this series is having issues, then I can pretty much guarantee fresh blood will too, so something to think about. As for the Hector and Achilles battle, I was really surprised by how challenging it was. My strategy revolved around killing off all their range play, destroying their chariots and cav, then flanking with my archers and firing into the back so that I could retest infantry, which started out great, But I quickly ran out of ammunition, and once that happened, the Myrmidons and Achilles turned into 12th gear, essentially, and started bulldozing their way through all my elite troops. I ended up having to get Hector, the Minotaur, and the remnants of my champion units into a nice mix around all the Myrmidons, and just kept spamming the heal over and and happily enough to continue the fight. Really, the only saving grace for me there was baiting Achilles away from the main engagement with a few of my ammo-less archers, forcing him to give chase, and catching him out on the open plain with Hector and the Minotaur, which resulted in a quick kill in a duel and a secured MVP of Greece, which was awesome. Achilles died, had it in the bag, but still had to grind it out for another 3 or 4 minutes. But that battle could not have been closer. At the end, I had half HP on Hector and the Minotaur, and maybe 40 models left in my army. Champions of Troy were the only unit remaining. Everything else was dead or routed, so it's pretty exciting to see that AI actually put up a good fight there. They handled the battle pretty well overall. The chariot had something to be desired, but it was still interesting to see the AI do that well. From a visuals perspective, pretty solid overall. It's a little bit brown, and I'm not a massive fan of his aesthetic right now. Feels a bit too Indian, like something like an Indian movie tries to parody the time period. You see Kill from Hector, the units themselves are gorgeous. They have some nice color and seem to reflect the time period well too. Maps definitely do, and it ran smooth as butter with a lot of models on screen, which is all you can really ask for. A few texture issues here and there, nothing major or massively glaring, but if you zoomed in, you could see them. And the lighting and general atmosphere matched, which helped the immersion and really made me feel like a Trojan. Still though, it's a bit jarring to see characters and abilities that don't reflect the truth behind the myth approach when it's being sold as the driving philosophy for Troy since day one, really, and it's why I keep mentioning this strange middle-of-the-road approach between mythology and reality, because while they're mostly sticking to their guns here, there are parts of this game that very clearly do not. So when you see Invocation of the Hex, pure fantasy armor styles and character designs that don't even remotely match in general, the whole picture loses some of its cohesion, which might very well end up being one of the game's major flaws. The Total War Troy doesn't know who it wants to appeal to. It's caught in limbo between two worlds and doesn't go far enough to match the historical fan base, while almost not on this setting either. I won't go on a long rant about it here, but it legitimately pisses me the 3K system again, with the red and green units over the heads of each of the units, instead of faction-specific banners with unique color schemes like we've had in every other Total War game ever, because it just strips so much flavor and vibrancy out of the battles. It makes you feel like you're always playing as a single faction. You spend most of your time in battle anyway. I don't understand why they think faction-specific banners, but we've been using them since Shogun 1. The red for enemies, green for allies, always system is ugly and arcadey, and never fits with the aesthetic anything the War game is going for. It's jarring and out of place every single time. It was ugly in 3K, in a game that otherwise had beautiful UI and art direction. It was incredibly ugly and out of place in Attila. Give players an option for foreign banners unique to their faction, please. We just want the option to choose. I don't think battles are going to be the main selling point here. I think it's a lot like 3K in that regard, and the battles will be a nice way to break up the monotony of the campaign, but aren't the real driver that will make people buy. And I think just like in 3K, Total War Troy will have to do some special stuff with the economic time. The campaign map with the new resources and economic system will play a huge factor in this game. There's some interesting dynamics in the added mix that bit, and I'm in love with the heavier emphasis on math. Ultimately, it's not diversity, replayability will, de facto, take a big hit. I don't think there's any way to avoid them. It's really hard to play a game like Medieval 2 with knights and camel gunners and 20 different civilizations spread over 500 years of history, or a game like Warhammer 2, honestly, then jump into an era with only Bronze Age infantry and a handful of culture groups. That's just the reality of it. But it's also important to remember that it's not necessarily meant to have as much content or replay value as behemoth like medieval Empire. So comparing those isn't exactly fair. This is Total War Saga. It's meant to be hyper-focused. It's meant to bring the battlefields of Troy to life. And so far, it seems to be doing a pretty decent job on that front, but there's still some work to do for sure. I had fun in my battles. Probably the most intense first look I've had at a Total War game ever. And if the battles continue to be that challenging, forcing players to a little bit of longevity. Is it going to be mind-blowing? Is it going to be out of this world experience? No, I don't think so. Total War Troy's biggest flaw will be behind the myth approach, which I feel isn't going to make anyone satisfied. It's not delving in from either side of the aisle, and that middle road approach might end up hurting it a lot in the long run. But I am curious to see how things continue to develop. I do think there are elements in this game that show a lot of promise, and ultimately, the success of Saga will hinge on the campaign itself, which we haven't played yet, so I have to reserve judgment until I play the most important part of the game. Looking forward to getting my hands on it when that becomes available. I am interested to see what they do with it. Hyped for a return for good Siege gameplay, obviously. More about Troy again. Stay safe, stay classy, and I will see you all in the next video.
瑞穗新竹连2年世界金赏国际风味绝佳奖章，双料荣耀国际肯定。
Alright dudes, strap in. It's about to get bananas. We got the Skaven and Bretonnia battling for life and death, the shifting aisles in a replay between top 100 players. Floridian Fool is playing as the Skaven, and Dutch slaying for intercourse in the kitchen, playing as Bretonnians. Duking in the kitchen. Something like that, I don't know. Whatever, I don't speak Dutch. It doesn't matter. This replay was so damn good. One of those games that reminds you how privileged you can be to be able to bring this kind of content to the rest of you. So kick back, relax, grab some snacks, and enjoy the show. We got Ratman and Medieval 3, about to crack some skulls posts outside of Vault 1. Floridian Fool is playing as Skaven and the Deathmaster. He's perfect time. And played Tornado. He is an incredible duelist. Even though one year so very much a play. Surprised to see no HSIANGs or work grinders though. The ability to net cav into plays and countercharge with ninja halberds is a pretty brutal combination with the typical from the superhuman knights of Bretonnia. Faye is here. She has Earthblood, Favor of the Fae, Regrowth, standard kit for her. She does have her Chalice of Potions, and we've got Knights Errant in the back of her. Very cost effective against the Skaven. You swarm the field with them, 700 gold, they'll get into the back line, they'll shut down the range play, and then cycle charge a lot of the infantry into oblivion, and my god, it's hard to look at them and not think about Medieval 3. They look so boring. They don't really quite any better of this army technology is better. Exactly what this front line needs, but of course the Skaven don't want to deal with that. They want their help abominations to tear out everything in the front, so what's the best way to deal with it? Bust out the M48 3 ACOG with higher ammo, and with the no-scope till it drops. And that's dead before these lines clash. It's going to be a big loss for likely to work popping Regrowth away. Jezzails managed to get it low. You really want that immune to Psych once you close into melee, because the Helping Abominations will tear out the men-at-arms pretty easily. Now, they'd rather not be fighting infantry. The Cav is a much bigger deal, and these Grail Guardians are really the major threat, the big killing power for Bretonnia here. They are extremely good against the Skaven. They have high melee defense. They're able to stick into combat and keep fighting it out. Poison Globadiers are an interesting pick. They could be very good against Bretonnia if you're able to pin their Cav in place and get some good shots in with the magic. And remember, they do deal magic damage, so they will side through that physical resistance of the high tier cavalry, while arcing outwards, ripping through the center of these Bretonnian infantry formations, and it's super good for blending men-at-arms, man. The peasants will not be able to stand for very long if that Grail Reliquary goes down, and it's already about at 1/3 health, but a regrowth from Fey Enchantress should be able to keep it in the fight, let it weather the storm. Nice charge from the Knights Errant from behind, and the Hell Pit Abomination getting side down by all these flaming arrows, which is a great idea. As a Bretonnia player, you gotta know Hell Pit Abominations are in the cards. They're gonna be on the menu for the Thagaraki. You gotta make sure you bring some flaming damage to deal with them quickly, and an extra 22% weakness to fire will help them tremendously in trying to snipe out the single entity. Snickich has not been committed to the fight yet, but he's thinking about it. He wants to go in, and already a lot of routing for the peasant mob. Shouldn't be terror routes, though. I believe they're in range of the immune to Psych. They're just getting beat up by the clan rats, which should tell you all you need to know about Bretonnia's poopy peasants. Jezzail still firing in, getting some good shots on that Grail Relique, and some Poison Globadier shots doing some damage to the infantry. And of course, they have that new DOT. Didn't used to deal DOT damage, but with the Plague Wind mortars that came, they also got a new contact effect that helps them a little bit better against infantry. Nice focus fire coming in on the Plague Furnace, dropping it to about 2/3 health. The Hell Pit Abomination stuck in a fight it doesn't really want to be in. Fighting men-at-arms is not its forte, but it's gonna pound them into oblivion either way. As long as it has a little bit of infantry support from clan rats or something, it should be able to cut through them pretty quick. But it would much rather be chunking in and amongst those Grail Guardians, and we got a Chalice of Potions coming in from the Fey Enchantress, and that is a way to deal with unbreakable Storm Vermin halberds. Council Guard just got destroyed by that. 2/3 of their HP, about 3,500 points of damage, immediately dropped on their head, blessed with filth on the clan rats to help deal with the Grail Guardians, and Billowing Death will get through them a little bit better. The DOT will help for sure, but already Bretonnia is showing what they're so good at doing. They're in the rear, and they're shutting down the Jezzails and the Poison Wind Globadiers, and there's not really a whole lot the Skaven can do about that. There will come a time where the battle lines break down, and your range stuff gets shut down, and when there's this much cav on the field, it's very hard to protect those targets if you're the Skaven. With that said, though, he's not doing a terrible job of it. Snickich and the HPA are right there, and Grail Guardians cannot stay in the pocket fighting out with the Ninja Master and a Hell Pit Abomination. The Plague Furnace has been brought low by the focus fire from the Peasant Archers, and Storm Vermin Halberds duking it out with Men-at-Arms, Pole Arms, and that's an interesting fight. I feel like Storm Vermin could probably use a few buffs here or there. I'm not sure they should be considered an elite tier halberd, but for 1,000 gold, they're not necessarily great for the price. That's why I said you should probably think about going Eshin Triads and Warp Grinders instead, but they're not doing terrible right now. They're going to beat through the peasants pretty quick, and the Hell Pit Abominations are gooning it up alongside next to the Grail Guardians, doing a great job of isolating them. But yeah, these Poison Wind Globadiers are caught out. Grail Guardians will feast on them, and the Skaven may be a little bit too spread out for their own good. Going to be so hard to defend their ranged play, and I think the Jezzails and Poison Wind Globadiers are going to drop. There's not a whole lot he can do about that. At this point, it's probably why I didn't invest very much in the ranged play in general. Now, this Death Star play is where things are going to really kick it in for the Raki. This is where they get really strong against Bretonnia, where the Cav are forced to go in and fight large single entities with regen, where they have support from Halberds, from the Council Guard, from the Storm Vermin. That's where the Skaven like to play, but the Fae has that drain effect. Mist of the Lady is also great in the death style type of play, and it can break up those boxes pretty easy, because every time she runs into melee, she's dealing DOT damage to everything in the radius of that spell. The Plague Priest getting
Let's go!
So here we go, we're back. Fate the Fatals, version 2, 2020 edition, begins. Oh, Robo-Guts! Jesus!
Fatality. Shang-Tsung wins.
That is extremely... Wow, and he's a robot, and I'm going like, ugh! And he's a robot! I'm gonna give it a 9, right? That was a 9, that was pretty good. I'm glad we didn't see it with like human guts. My God.
Why was I programmed to feel pain?
Wow. That one's incredible. And it's a reference, you know? That one's incredible. What a great fatality, dude. I'm gonna give that one a friggin' 10 out of 10. Absolute 10 out of 10. That's badass. And it's Kintaro, 10 out of 10. I love it. I love it. Oh. It's okay.
Nightwolf wins.
It's all right. Big bear, big arms. I give that one like a 6 out of 10. A little weird on the pacing, right? A little weird. Ow. Whoa, Robo-Guts. Oh, is that really it? I think it's actually super fascinating what they... Look at his, like, bionic heart. Whoa, this is actually really cool. I think the fatality kind of sucked, right? I think the fatality was like a 5 out of 10. It was pretty basic and fast, but neat what they did to, how they modeled RoboCop. Wow.
My heart is pumped with scorn for you.
Fatality. The Joker wins.
Yep, that's a 10 out of 10. The fact that it splits it from being a friendship.
The Joker wins.
Yep, that's a 10 out of 10. The fact that it splits it from being a friendship to a fatality and he jokes you, I think that's a 10 out of 10.
is to try
Would say that I'm a bad boy to kill without a reason. But Buddy's the guy never gets old. It's season.
It's okay.
Wins.
That one's about 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. Damn, that endoskeleton looks crazy. Really cool, though. That's easily a 9 out of 10 fatality. I'm so captivated by all the weird RoboCop stuff, though.
Time for a drink.
Fatality.
Realize how similar it is to. It doesn't quite hit as much as the other one does, which I think is a.
Use it!
Fatality.
Ed 209 showing up is really cool. It's super referential, but I'll give it an 8. Right? 8 out of 10. There you go.
Fatality. Robocop wins.
That fatality is fucking amazing. The thing is, I have to give it a 10 out of 10, right? 10 out of 10 because it's not long, it's referential, the pacing is great. Boom, 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 boom. Like the whole pacing of the events and shots are fantastic. They're great.
A quest of mystery.
Fatality. Shiva wins.
The shot in the end is very cool, but something about it just doesn't hit. I'm gonna give it like a 5. I'm gonna be a bit harsh on it. I'm gonna give it like a 5. I don't really feel too negatively or too good about it in any way at all. You know, this is very simple. Oh god, it came back to me.
Fatality. Shiva wins.
And this was already sort of spoiled for me because of the trailer, but holy shit, dude. This one's like a 10. Like, what the hell? Ripping someone's head and spine out of their body. Basic shit. Ripping someone's body from their head and spine. Holy fuck. Wow. Wow. Yeah, I have to give that one a 10 out of 10. That's a great call.
Let us plan for the trials ahead.
Murphy. Oh. I think that's a 9 out of 10. That's a 9 out of 10. There's a 9. It doesn't do anything super special, but like the flow, flipping the bike, spinning around, getting off the bike, aiming, shooting, boom. Like it all flows together very well. It's not a super flashy fatality, but it's shot very well. 9 out of 10. Yeah, the way he gets off the bike is really cool. That is not easy to film something like that, chat. Like, you think cutting and editing and choosing those shots the way they do is easy to do? I can tell you, it is not fucking easy, man. And to make it look that smooth is very difficult. There we go. God damn, I feel so bad for Murphy! Murphy, why do you have to be the only one with oil for blood? I feel so bad for Murphy, Jesus! 10 out of 10, by the way. By the way, it's a beautiful 10 out of 10. Incredible friggin' fatality.
I will learn what nobody yet knows.
Fatality.
It's good. Right, it's impressive too. I give it a 7. 7 out of 10. Oh no, oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
Fatality. Sindel wins. Flawless victory.
That one's pretty brutal, dude. I'd have to give it a 9 just for the brutal ass aspect of it. Alright, it's pretty brutal. Gotta give it a 9.
Monsters of us all.
No. That's cool. That's cool. I'll have to give it a, I give it an 8. Oh god. Oh god. Oh no.
Fatality.
That one's kind of lame, right? I'm gonna give that one like a 4. My initial impression is that it's kind of lame. 4 out of 10. Oh, we're not done. We are not done.